The excitement around Seacom was the fact that it would bring down prices to the end user. When is that likely to happen?
We're seeing it happen in stages. We're seeing in East Africa almost immediately. Kenya experienced 254% growth within 2 weeks of their data usage. But Kenya doesn't have a legacy network. The fiber that was put in place was all new investment. South Africa, there are legacy networks to be overcome, but Neotel is rolling out fiber to the corporates, Dark Fiber Africa, Telkom's putting in next generation network. So the bottleneck right now is really the copper that we're working on, and the lack of spectrum from tower to tower. So the 3G operators have a lot of capacity at the tower itself, but have a bottleneck from getting bandwidth from tower to tower.
Yeah. And what's your expansion plan?
It's a two-part expansion plan. One is we want to continue growing in Africa. We want more POPs in as many cities in Africa as possible.
Have you identified in the near future?
Near future, definitely Botswana, definitely Zimbabwe. We're looking through Tanzania into Burundi and Congo, Eastern Congo. Also looking at opportunities and partnerships on West Africa. The other part of our expansion is content. How do we bring content into Africa, and how do we become a catalyst for African content being developed?
It's interesting you should mention West Africa, because that's quite a competitive space in terms of, you look at the connectivity on the West African side. How do you want, in terms of partnership, as you've mentioned, how do you plan to remain competitive there?
I think people are realizing that these are huge infrastructure investments, and that there's a lot of dollars that need to be spent.
True.
So people are reevaluating and saying, am I spending this dollar in the most efficient way possible? Or can you do that investment for me and I'll do my investment over here? And that actually lets this sort of African ecosystem of communications grow faster. And as people get comfortable and find models that work together from a revenue perspective, you're seeing more and more of these partnerships happen.
And the lessons learned so far?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, you have to look at the complexity of the project. We went through 11 territorial waters, so 11 tax regimes, 11 different regulatory regimes, 11 different political issues to overcome.
Some piracy issues.
Some piracy issues to overcome. But really, it was about speed. You know, President Kagame once told me he's seen a lot of visionary people who get A+s for their vision, but very few people who get an A+ for implementation.
True.
So that's what it's about now. Who can implement, who can make it move as fast as possible.
Talking about who can implement, countries like Rwanda are coming up to be quite competitive in the space. What's your take on that?
It's fabulous. I mean, at a presidential level, they see ICT as the platform for economic growth. So a country like Rwanda knows that it's has a rare skill of being a bilingual call center place, French and English. You know, and a country like Uganda realizes that a lot of infectious disease studies are happening in Uganda. So they're becoming a bit more specialized on how to exploit ICT for the benefit of their natural skills.
We recently spoke to the chairman of the NEPAD Africa Commission, and as you know, their key drive is to really get Africa connected. What is Seacom's future role, if one can put it that way, in ensuring that ICT is accessible to Africans?
First, you start with the NEPAD, the mantra that they were saying, which is open access. You know, and Seacom really built its whole system on that. You know, to ensure that any entrepreneur, any carrier, any person can get onto a cable with equal opportunity. You know, and that came from NEPAD. That was a mandate that they said African carriers have to develop in this way. The second one is education. Ultimately, is about access to information. You know, and ICT is about the transmission and distribution of information. You know, so we're figuring out how to work with the youth of Africa and really let them become the drivers of the market, because that's happened everywhere in the world and it will happen here.
We'll definitely keep that space. We'll be watching that space, rather, in terms of developments coming out of there. But finally, in terms of future investments, what can we look forward to from Seacom?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be fiber into interior countries, and hopefully it's going to be a play in West Africa. It's also going to be bringing content and value to these different POPs, so that we can bring a lot of the agreements that sit between carriers in Europe into Africa.